You have the experience, you've led teams, you've worked in risk, audit, compliance, and security, and you may even have strong certifications, but you apply for those big roles, and what happens? You hear nothing back. No interview, no call, no reason given. And after a while, that starts to get to you. And you begin asking yourself hard questions like, is the market too tough right now? Am I not strong enough? Do they want someone that's better than me? But most of the time, that is not the real problem. The real problem is that your resume is just not making the fit easy to see. So at this level, companies are not just looking for someone who's been in cybersecurity for a long time. They want someone who can lead, someone who can guide teams, someone who can help the business make smart choices, someone who can push things forward. So if your resume does not make that clear and fast, then you're still going to get passed over, even when you're the right person for the job. I'm Professor Dennis Kenny, Director of Programs at ExoMind Cyber Institute, and today I want to show you how a strong senior resume lines up with a real job posting. So today we're looking at a real KPMG role. Now the title, Director, Cybersecurity Integration and Transformation, and we're going to go through a real resume that is built for this kind of role. And by the end of this video, you're going to see why some resumes get the fast attention and others don't. Before we go any further, if this is helping you, please hit the like button and subscribe. We drop new videos all the time to help you get the job that you are working so hard for, okay? All right, now let's get into it. So the job that we are looking at is a KPMG. So the title is Director of Cybersecurity Integration and Transformation. So this is a big role, and it's not a small support role. It's not the kind of role where you're just going to list a few tools and just, hope for the best. KPMG wants someone who can lead security review work. They want someone who knows risk and compliance. They want someone who can support the top leaders, and they want someone who can make security processes better, to bring in the automation, to track risk, and to help the teams work well together. So that tells you something right away. This kind of role needs a resume that feels clear and focused. It needs a resume that sounds like a leader wrote it. Okay, now let's look at the resume. So the person we are looking at here is Jordan Reed. Now, right at the top, the title says Director, Cybersecurity Integration and Transformation. So that already works. Now, why? Well, because it matches the job right away. Because the person that is reading it does not have to stop. They don't have to guess. They can already see it. This person, they lead. This person, they handle the big security work and they handle change. So that's a strong start. And it matters a lot. Now, the first job of your resume is not to tell your entire story. The first job of your resume is to make sense fast. Now, Jordan's title, it does that. All right, good. Let's look at the summary now. So Jordan is described as a cybersecurity leader with more than 10 years of work leading security change, cyber review work, and risk programs in spaces that have strict rules. So, you know what? That's a strong opening. KPMG, they want deep experience in security. They want someone who's managed the complex review work. They want someone who can lead at a high level. And Jordan, he starts answering all of those right away. So good job there. Then the summary says Jordan made review and approval work faster by using automation and process change. So he cut the manual work by 35% and he helped speed up approvals for high risk systems by 25%. Now that matters, because KPMG, they want someone who can make security reviews better and bring in automation. Now, Jordan's summary, it's already speaking to that. So the summary also says that Jordan has worked with top leaders like CIOs, CISOs to turn cyber risk into real business choices. Now, KPMG says they want someone who can support top leaders and step in as a delegate on key work. So Jordan makes that clear early on, and that is what a strong summary should do. It should not just sound good, it should make the fit easy to see. Now, let's move into the work history. So this is where the match gets even cleaner and clearer. So Jordan's current job is Director of Cyber Risk and Transformation at Deloitte. Now, one of the first lines says that he stepped in as a top-level delegate for cyber risk programs and gave advice to executives on controls, risk, and what to fix first. So that is a strong line because KPMG is asking for exactly that kind of work. They want someone who can work at the top level and who can support the big decisions. So Jordan shows he's already done it. Now, another line says that he built automated security review steps. So he cut manual controls testing by 40% and made compliance work more steady and relatable. So that's a clear match. KPMG wants someone who can improve review work and use automation to make it better. Now, Jordan is not just saying, look, he touched this. He's showing that he made it better. Then we see that he managed cyber change work worth $10 to $15 million. He lined up spending with risk priorities and business needs. So that's very important at this level because companies, they want more than technical skill. They want judgment. They want someone who can handle money, people, and business risk at the same time. So Jordan shows that clearly. Now, another line says that he built risk reports and tracking tools so leaders could see how controls were holding up, how ready they were for audits, and what the overall risk picture looked like. Now, KPMG, they want someone who can build reports and track numbers that show how security is doing. So Jordan's already done that. Then there is another strong line. So he led big review and approval programs for systems in strict rule-based spaces and helped cloud and mixed systems get approved faster. Now, KPMG, they talk about security reviews, approvals, and support for major decisions. Now, Jordan, he lines up with all of that very well. Now, let's look at the Accenture role. Now, at Accenture, Jordan led security change and compliance work across finance, healthcare, and public sector clients. So that shows range, and it shows that he can work in big, complex spaces. And it shows that he can handle work with strict rules. So that matters for a role like this. Now, another line says that he led outside vendor risk programs and helped out vendor risk by 30% through scoring and ongoing checks. So KPMG, that includes vendor risk work in the role. And Jordan is showing direct proof of that too. Then we see that he rebuilt security review steps and cut the time it took to finish them by 25% through process changes and automation. So that's a clear match again. Now, KPMG, they want someone who can improve the way review works get done. Jordan keeps showing that same strength again and again. And that's one of the reasons this resume works. It stays on the same message. There's also a line about leading cloud security work across AWS and Azure while keeping everything in line with compliance needs. So KPMG talks about cloud and security approvals, and that line supports that part of the role. Now let's look at the IBM security role here. So one line says Jordan led risk checks across 22 business areas and tracked more than 680 risks that are tied to strong security rule sets. So he also helped put more than $4.6 million of risk in the right order. That is a strong senior level line. It shows size, structure, real business impact. Another line says that he led compliance work across more than 150 people and helped large groups move in one direction with major security standards. So KPMG, they want someone who can work across teams, who can guide people and keep the large groups aligned. So Jordan shows that here. Then there is a line about building top-level reports and tracking tools across many projects. Now again, that helps because KPMG, they want someone who can report on risk clearly and help leaders understand what is going on. Now, let's step back and let's look at the bigger lesson here. Why does this resume feel stronger than most senior cybersecurity resumes? Because it's not vague. A lot of people at this level, they write lines like led cyber work, managed risk, supported audits, or drove security change. Those lines, they sound senior, but they do not say enough. The reader still has to guess. Jordan's resume does not do that. It shows what he led. It shows what he made better. It shows what he built. And it shows who he supported. And it shows what changed because of his work. That is what makes it feel real and believable. Now, another thing this resume does well is it stays consistent. The same ideas that keep coming up again and again: security change, review work, risk reports, audit readiness, cloud, vendor risk, automation. That makes the story easy to follow. And when the story is easy to follow, well, the reader, they understand you faster. So that is a big deal because hiring teams, they're not reading your resume line by line the way you might think. They're scanning it. They're looking for fit. They're looking for proof proof. They're looking for clarity. So can this resume still be made better? Yes, because KPMG talks about working with certain types of security managers and business security leaders inside companies. So if Jordan has done direct work with those kinds of people, that should be easier to see on the resume. So the same goes for policy work and control exception work. So if it is there, it should be right where the reader can find it fast. So that is what tailoring really means. So it doesn't always mean starting over. Sometimes it just means moving your best proof closer to the top. So that's where many people miss it. And they keep changing the font. They keep changing the layout. But the real issue, it's never the design. The real issue is whether the resume makes the fit easy to see fast. That's what gets interviews. So what is the real lesson here? So the resume, it works because it stays in the right lane. It matches what the role is really asking for, and it proves that match with real size, with real leadership, real results, and real business value. So that is what your resume should be doing too, because the person that is reading it is asking one simple question: does this person make sense for this role? So if your resume answers that clearly, well, you got a shot. If it does not, then they move on. And that is exactly where Excel Mind Cyber Institute comes in. Now at Excel Mind Cyber Institute, we do not leave our students to figure it out all on your own. No, we help them understand what companies are really looking for. We show them how to present their experience in a way that hiring teams can see and they can understand fast. So we help them line their resumes up with real job postings so they stop applying without a plan and they start applying with one. With Excel Mind Cyber Institute as your place of study, moving into a remote, high-paying career in cybersecurity, it's not going to feel like something out of reach. So check out the first link in the description below and let us help you get there. And listen, if this video helped you today, hit the like button and subscribe for more tips that will help you land the job you deserve.